These are...
No fear. No political correctness. No wokeism. You're listening to Underground USA.
Just want to take this opportunity to thank you for listening to Underground USA and for patronizing our website, undergroundusa.com, and ask parents once again to make sure you check your child's Halloween candy. There's some fentanyl out there disguised as candy that could kill them if they ingest it. So be vigilant. Make sure that you look at your kids' Halloween candy. It's important. Their life depends on it. I also wanted to tease an upcoming article that centers on the Paul Pelosi thing, but it's not really about Paul Pelosi. It's about how the left reacted to Paul Pelosi. The way that they did says a lot about them as a party and as individuals. And I'll be getting deeper into that in an upcoming article this week. Right now, the weekly Monday segment on the Captain's America Third Watch with Matt Bruce.
Joining us right now on this Monday morning, we've got Frank Salvato from UndergroundUSA.com. Good morning, Mr. Frank.
Mr. Captain.
Well, it's always a thought, but it's always something that you have to consider because we have to make sure that the candy the kids are getting is safe because all sorts of things over the years have happened to candy. Not as bad as what we're going to talk about here in just a second, but they've had razor blades in candy. They've had glass in candy. They've had all kinds of craziness over the years. But I think they've topped themselves now.
Yeah, there's some sick individuals, always been sick individuals out there that want to harm the children. They get off on it. You mentioned razor blades, needles, crushed glass, things like that injected. That's why it's important to be vigilant. This year especially, because of what we've got coming over the southern border that's unsecure. There's fentanyl that looks like candy and is being packaged like candy. So if you're a parent, it is imperative that you inspect your child's candy upon their return. And it's very important to make sure that you tell them, if you're not going with them to go trick-or-treating, do not eat any candy that they get from anywhere until you can go over it.
Right.
If there is anything that looks suspicious, any package that is disrupted in any manner, you've got to pull it out and you've got to sequester it. If it looks like something that's been tampered with, bag it in a Ziploc bag, put it to the side, and the next time you go out, drop it off at the police station and say, I'm not taking any chances with my health or my kids' health. I don't know about this. It looks like it was tampered with. If you'd please look at it and dispose of it for me, I'd appreciate it. Because there are people who are absorbing fentanyl through the skin that are having very serious life-threatening issues. So take no chances this Halloween. Make sure you vet your kids' candy. And if something looks nefarious or it's open, don't touch it. You don't need to. Get a Ziploc bag, pick it up, zip it up.
Yep, you're right. I agree 100% with you, and I hope the people understand that this is something that's important. We're not just saying it because we want to say it. We're saying it because it's serious enough you need to know about it.
Absolutely, and I'm going to say this again because it's very important for you to instill it into your child. Make sure they don't eat anything until you can vet what they pick up.
Yep.
Your child's life depends on it.
Yep, and double yep. Okay, well, the GOP is surging. The red wave is on. The Dems are desperately trying to change their message. They've been busy, some of them this weekend, going to these little conferences where they sit down and they figure out how they can change their message.
Oh, yeah, but do not become complacent. If you haven't voted yet, you must vote. Everybody must vote. The wave doesn't get to crash onto the shore unless everybody votes and becomes the wave. The media is doing their best now to say, whoa, wow, the voter, it's unbelievable. Republicans are going to pick up 1 million seats. They're kind of hoping that you go, well, I don't need to go then. If I don't make it, it's not going to be that big of a difference because it's going to be huge. Don't listen to them. Make the wave happen. Make sure you vote.
Mm-hmm. All righty, hold that thought, Mr. Frank. Folks are coming right back with more here on the Captain's America Third Watch, and Frank Salvato, too. Don't go anywhere. He's going to take us to break.
This is Frank Salvato from Underground USA, and you're listening to a fellow brother of the badge, Matt Bruce, on the Captain's America Third Watch.
Handcrafted exotic blend teas at the lowest shipping cost anywhere. Hi, I'm CJ, owner of the Emerald Coast Tea Company. We ship our premium gourmet blends with Sindel, offering you the lowest shipping prices anywhere, while also being carbon neutral. Excellent tea at the right price. Check us out at www.emeraldcoastteacompany.com. Honey, this ain't your mama's tea.
News, insight, passion. AM 930, The Answer.
You're listening to the Captain's America Third Watch, heard live right here on this station from 2 to 6 a.m. Eastern Time, overnight Monday through Saturday. Call 877-969-8600 and tell us what's on your mind.
All righty, welcome back to the Captain's America Third Watch, and I am talking to my friend Frank Salvato from UndergroundUSA.com, and of course he's also a brother of the badge, retired firefighter, as am I. Now, good morning, Mr. Frank.
Mr. Captain.
Now, I got to mention a little bit more here about the political aspect of what's going on. We're just 8 days away from the midterm elections, and Republicans seem to have a 7-point lead right now, and that lead is getting higher because the other day it was 4, now it's 7, in their bid to recapture control of Congress. Now, there's a lot of things that are going on up there, and there's a lot of variables floating around. I heard last night that in Maine, they could actually have a governor and a congressman and a senator, all Republican, and that hasn't happened in years.
That's going to depend on what we were talking about in the first segment, and that's the people turning out.
Yep.
Don't listen to the media. Don't listen to the polls. Don't listen to the people saying that, already celebrating a victory. You've got to go to the polls and vote.
Yep.
One of the biggest tricks that the left and the media try to do, in collusion, I might add, to help the liberal leftist cause, is to overhype. Oh, the wave is huge. It's unbelievable. We're hearing that the chances are we're going to have a 20-seat pickup. We're going to take the Senate by 5, by 6, by 8. It doesn't happen unless you vote.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen unless you get to the polls and vote. It is intensely important that you don't think that your vote doesn't matter. They like to trot out that story all the time, too. Well, people said that, well, what's one vote? It doesn't really matter when you're talking about thousands. So I don't go. It won't affect anything. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does affect.
Tell that to the people that won by a couple hundred votes.
Yeah. Don't make excuses. Don't look in the rearview mirror on November 9th and say, oh, well, I probably should have made it. Make sure you do. Mm-hmm. Make the time. This is all about being an American. Mm-hmm. The right to vote is sacrosanct. Exercise it.
By the way, I got a nice little message from a logger that works up in North Florida, and he's probably listening to us right now because this is right in his window when he said that he is listening. And he says he loves the program because it wakes him up, gets him spirited and stirred up for the day and all that. And he in particular likes your segment.
So we jack up his blood pressure, and he's not having to have as much caffeine.
There you go.
I guess we're a health program too.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in there because I just remembered I had a note to myself to to mention it right now, and we appreciate everybody that's tuning in, and of course they chime in and they let us know, where they're at, what they're doing, and sometimes they tell us when they're listening, sometimes they don't. They just say, "Hear your program, it's great. We want to hear more of it," or whatever. And of course, I want to remind everybody, don't forget, there is a podcast of this show that comes out about an hour and a half or so later after the show's done. You can find it in two different places right off the bat. One is theanswertampa.com, my flagship station. And the other one is it goes up on my website, because you'll see it right there at the bottom of the page where it says, catch the latest podcast. And, oh, by the way, don't forget, we have something, Frank, called a stream. And that stream plays the last show just like it's on the air live right now. You'll hear it all day until the next night when the new show comes on. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, you can't hide. You can't hide from us.
No.
You could try. But there's just too many ways to hear us, so there's those.
Yeah. Now let's go to the phone line here. Let me see. Good morning, Mel. What's on your mind?
Oh, yes. Good morning, Captain. Good morning, Frank. I was listening to a commercial that you had on about John Fetterman in Pennsylvania. He was talking in regards to how Dr. Oz wanted to vote against to reduce Obamacare, which I feel as though it should be repealed. And John McCain was the culprit in that not getting done. But now here's John Fetterman talking about it's reduced. It's going to reduce the health care of Black Americans by 30%. But he didn't mention about how he chased a black man through his neighborhood with a shotgun. And I guess he thought that if he got the guy, that 30% would be in favor of this guy would die because of the reduction of Obamacare. So that's just how the hypocrisy that these criminals on the left in the Democrat Party have. Mm-hmm. John Fetterman's a racist, and we all know that. Yep. So, I mean, for him to say that he cares about black people, that's a smack in my face. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Take care.
Yeah, well, Fetterman needs to get out of the race. I mean, he would have done himself a lot of favors if he'd moved out of the race and let somebody else run. Maybe, and by the way, it's been mentioned, there's been a couple thoughts about this. You don't suppose his wife was going to get appointed to his seat if something were to happen to him, do you?
It's a very good possibility, but they would actually have they'd be able to pick whoever they want, someone insanely radical, even more radical than he is. The idea that the people of Pennsylvania would vote for this guy when the job of someone going to Washington is to adequately and eloquently convey in a communicative way the thoughts and desires of the people of the state of Pennsylvania, to vote for him is insanity. He could have been Ronald Reagan for all I care. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he can't communicate, it's a disqualifier. Mm-hmm. It's a disqualifier. Maybe, let's say he was even a good guy. It's still a disqualifier. When you get sent to represent the people, you need to have the capacity to do so. You shouldn't say, well, you need the computer systems and teleprompters and you need no. You need to pick the person most capable and qualified for the job. He is just not. Mm-hmm. And this is another example of Democrats running people who shouldn't be running because of health concerns. Mm-hmm. They did it in 2020 with Biden.
Yep.
And they don't care enough about this individual in Pennsylvania to say, you know what?
Yep.
I think you better focus on your health, dude.
Now, I'm going to talk about oil a lot. I'm going to talk about diesel a lot. And I'm going to talk about the 10th Amendment a lot with you because you're the constitutional guy. You know the Constitution. You know about where I'm going to go when I mention 10th Amendment. And can you stick around for an extra segment so we can do all of that?
You bet.
All right, because, folks, you're going to want to hear this. You're going to want to get that cup of coffee right now. Sit down and listen to what we're going to talk about. And I'm going to tell you what every state in the country can do to drill, baby, drill, and tell the federal government to go freaking pound sand. Be right back.
Hi, everybody. This is the Captain, Matt Bruce. Tune in 2 to 6 a.m. to hear tonight what they'll be talking about tomorrow on this radio station. The Captain's America Third Watch. Always American and always conservative. God bless America.
Hey, this is Judson Carroll with the Southern Appalachian Herbs Podcast. One thing Frank always reminds me to mention is that my books and my podcasts are not limited to my region of the Southern Appalachian Mountains. I'm a master herbalist with a working knowledge of hundreds of herbs that are available all around you no matter where you live and keep your family in optimal health. I'm now offering a free newsletter through Substack. Please find me on Substack at Judson Carroll Master Herbalist or judsoncarroll.com, and I look forward to communicating with you in the future. Thanks.
All right, back to Frank Salvato, undergroundusa.com, and thanks for sticking around, Frank.
Anytime and always, my friend.
Now, you and I are going to talk about something that's going to blow the roof off the building. The one I'm sitting in, the one you're sitting in, and anybody with a radio on that's listening to us right now. So hold on to something. There is no reason, ladies and gentlemen, no reason under God's green earth why every state in the country right now, you heard me right, every state in the country and their governor has the resources to start drilling for oil immediately. All they have to do is disregard the edicts coming from Washington, and they can do so by utilizing the 10th Amendment, which allows them to do so. It allows them to do what's best for their states and the country. What do you say, Frank?
Yeah, well, it's true. It takes some spine from the governor and the state legislatures, but it's true. You can invoke nullification, citing your right to do so under the 10th Amendment. 10th Amendment says anything not specifically enumerated in the Constitution is the purview of the states. Now, the federal government has done some great work in circumventing that protection for the states over the years, but that's why a governor could invoke nullification. We have precedent for nullification in sanctuary states. California, the cobalt glow-in-the-dark blue state that has decided that it's a sanctuary state, tantamount to thumb their nose at federal law, nullifying immigration law, which is a federal law and the purview of the federal government, by the way. So the precedent is set. If a state doesn't necessarily care for it, they label themselves sanctuary, they invoke nullification under the 10th Amendment, and they just ignore federal law. Then to compound that with the decision that came down from the U.S. Supreme Court regarding the EPA, which pretty much told the EPA point blank that you don't have free reign to create any kind of regulation you like. You have to be specifically tasked by legislation to do so. That sets another precedent. Every executive branch, department, agency, commission, doesn't matter what the body is, can't just unilaterally create a regulation and say that it's federal, that has the weight of federal law. That was why that decision was huge. So when it comes to drilling for oil, the Department of Interior, Department of Energy, the EPA, there has to be specific legislation that forbids it. Otherwise, every governor could say, I'm voting nullification under the 10th Amendment of the United States in tandem with the decision that just came down about the EPA from the Supreme Court, and we're drilling.
Well, drilling is just one part of it, but there's something else here I want to ask you about. Investment in refining capacity coupled with refinery closures and operation disruptions have also contributed to this diesel scarcity. Could a governor use the 10th Amendment to say, hey, listen, I need a refinery. I got the place where I can put it, and I'm going to build a refinery, and we're going to start producing oil at this location?
they could use the same circumstances to circumvent the regulations that the EPA and the Department of the Interior and Department of Energy put upon the oil companies that usually typically build refineries. Now, if I'm the government, I'm not getting into building refineries, but I'm certainly creating a welcome atmosphere for oil companies to come and build them.
Yeah.
You don't want the government getting into private enterprise because now you're tiptoeing around fascism. But in Texas, in Florida, in Alaska, Louisiana, if you invoke nullification under the 10th Amendment and cite the recent ruling by the Supreme Court, you could commandeer the right and the ability to create an economic and legal atmosphere in your state that would allow an oil company to come in and build a refinery.
We have the perfect place in Florida. You know where it is?
Oh, you like to say Pensacola.
Pensacola Naval Base. It's secure.
Yeah.
It's not in a position where if you have some sort of accident, you'll be able to corral it quickly. You can do that by putting out the booms that you need to right away to get it done. But I think it would be a great place to do it. It's close to the oil fields, closer, let's say, than Tallahassee or Tampa, right?
And keep this in mind, too, that when you think about oil refinery, it conjures up this incredibly dirty, oil slick-laden facility that's billowing things into the air, and oh, my God, nobody wants one of those in your backyard. The technology has come so far since the last refinery was built in the United States that you wouldn't even know one if you passed it on the highway.
And I know plants that are like that, like what they're talking about. And guess what guess what they make? Paint,
which is a petroleum product.
Right.
People.
Hold on a minute. We got a caller. Let's see. Okay, Backgammon Bob, do you agree or disagree?
Everything you said, Kevin. Also wanted to add, what about this ethanol in the gasoline? Because they use nullification to get rid of that requirement. All right. That's it, Captain.
All right. Well, yeah, because guess what else they want to do to try to solve the problem? They want to go to biodiesel again.
Yeah. I mean, I'm an all of the above kind of guy, but the federal government shouldn't be manhandling how the market handles this. So to answer Bob's question, yes. Mm-hmm. If a governor decided to have the intestinal fortitude to invoke nullification, make us a sanctuary state for the fossil fuel industry. Citing the 10th Amendment and the recent Supreme Court decision, they could absolutely dismiss this requirement for ethanol.
Right.
The problem is going to be that oil companies have a wider market than one state.
Right.
So you're going to need to free up that refinery capacity in order for them to say, well, it's cheaper for us to supply Texas, Florida, Arkansas, Tennessee, Alaska. We can't sell this stuff at blue states. So when they want to have a diesel shortage manufactured for political purposes, and remember, people, the diesel shortage is going to hit full blend after the election.
Correct.
So there is something here that was engineered to make sure that pain wasn't felt before the election. Keep that in mind.
Take a look at what Buttigieg has been up to, where he's been traveling. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the oil companies could turn the tables on the eco-zealots and the green energy cronies and say, well, yeah, we can't sell our gas in blue states. Mm-hmm. We can take care of Florida, Texas, and Alaska, though.
So to make a long story short, folks, do your homework, look up the 10th Amendment to the Constitution and start calling up your congressmen, calling up your senators and saying, hey, man, do something. For that matter, call up your governor's office, because the governor is the one in the state that's going to have the control over it to begin with. All right, Frank, I will talk to you on Friday.
Stay low, my brother.
All right, thank you very much. Frank Salvato, undergroundusa.com website. Go over there, check it out. He's got a podcast, great articles he writes, and we're proud and honored to have him on my show 2 days a week. I'll be right back.
Please be sure to rate the podcast, give it 5 stars if the platform lets you, and leave a comment. You can contact us at contact@undergroundusa.com. And you can sign up for our Substack coming directly to you, circumventing the censors at undergroundusa.com. My name is Frank Salvato. You're listening to undergroundusa.com. We'll be right back in a minute.
This podcast is a production of the Compass Point Group.